They whispered your name through tears last night. Heaven heard it first. The silence is not distance, it's agony learning your worth. They're speaking to God about you. That's why their mouths stayed shut. What they couldn't say broke them. What they will say will break you open. Love held its breath in them too long. It's about to scream. Their silence wasn't absence. It was a war they lost for you. Heaven delayed the confession so you'd learn how sacred you are. They're on their knees, trying to find the courage to confess what you already feel. Every unsent message was soaked in hope you'd feel them anyway. They buried the words, but divine timing is digging them up. You felt forgotten, but they were remembering you too loudly to speak. They rehearsed your name in silence. Now it's trembling on their lips. Love never left. It just got quieter to hear your soul speak. There's a letter unwritten in their chest, and tonight it starts writing itself. They died to ego daily. That's why they're returning holy. The silence wasn't rejection. It was spiritual resistance breaking. God kept their mouth shut until their heart was right. You think they don't care. They think they've ruined everything. Their dreams still end in your name. They're finally listening. Forgiveness is the only language they know now. They chose silence so they wouldn't fail you with words. You think it's over. Heaven calls it a comma. They've been screaming your name inside. It's about to slip out loud. Don't confuse silence with indifference. It was divine delay. You're still their home. They've just been stranded in shame. The message they send will shake something ancient inside you. Every tear they didn't show became a seed in God's garden. You were never ghosted. You were shielded from their brokenness. They couldn't speak because love this real deserves trembling. You thought they forgot. They fasted from you in reverence. They needed silence to become the one worthy of returning. This love is resurrecting, and the tomb is cracking. The apology is coming, but what follows will be holy. They weren't silent. They were broken open in secret. The love never left. It simply learned how to kneel. Their silence was sacred space preparing for divine speech. Your prayers didn't go unanswered. They're becoming someone worthy of them. They couldn't face you until they healed what haunted them. The letter they're scared to send is already written in your bones. The delay was divine. The return will be undeniable. They carried your name like scripture. Now they're ready to speak it. What you thought was abandonment was heaven's refinement. You were the lesson. Now you'll be the miracle. They stopped reaching out so they could finally reach within. The silence broke them. Speaking will resurrect them. You didn't lose them. You lost the version not ready for you. The words are coming, and so is the trembling. They prayed you'd still be waiting when they found the words. You'll hear them soon, and it'll sound like your own healing. If this touched your soul, don't scroll. Comment your favorite quote and subscribe for more. You think it's too late, but they just woke up missing your voice. Their silence was a scream only heaven could hear. The words they owe you are soaking in sacred regret. They were quiet because your presence shook something holy. They watched you move on, but they never moved inward. You were never forgotten, just too precious to be mishandled. They never stopped hoping you'd still be waiting on the other side. Their silence was survival, not dismissal. What they say next will sound like prophecy. Your absence is what finally made them real. They stayed away not because they didn't love you, but because they did. Silence is the soul's way of burning its illusions. They broke their own heart thinking they were protecting yours. The silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation. They're rehearsing how to say what their soul already knows. They had to lose you to hear what God was trying to say. The time apart was mercy disguised as silence. Their silence was the echo of unspoken love. You felt discarded. They felt unworthy of your light. The apology will arrive disguised as a whisper. God hid you from them until they could cherish you. They're afraid their truth will arrive too late. You're not imagining it. They still wake up haunted by you. Their return won't be dramatic, but it will be divine. They were silent because your love was too loud for their ego. You were the mirror. They just weren't ready to see. They're one confession away from finally being whole again. They're writing it down now. Tears keep smudging the ink. They cried out to God about you. He answered with a push. You were never abandoned. You were being protected from premature love. Their silence was them learning how not to lose you again. They know they waited too long. They're hoping you're still listening. You feel forgotten. They've carved your name into every dream. They had to unlearn ego before they could return with truth. That message they deleted? It was the beginning of their healing. They stopped calling when words felt too small for your worth. They left so they could return as someone who never would again. The silence was sacred surgery on their soul. The truth is, they never stopped loving you, just stopped believing they could. They couldn't speak. They were drowning in divine guilt. Don't judge the silence. Judge what survives it. They will say your name again, but this time with tears. You were the prayer. They were the delay. The next thing they say will rewrite everything you believed. They left to find God, and God sent them back to you. Their silence had a heartbeat. You just stopped listening. The silence is ending, and it will sound like surrender. They thought staying quiet would hurt less. It didn't. What they never said carved a sanctuary in them. They begged heaven for one more chance. You're about to hear it. That message is coming, and it will undo what you hardened. They wept when you didn't reach back. Now they're reaching anyway. Love like this returns bruised, but pure. They weren't ignoring you. They were learning how not to break you. You are the ache that won't let them rest. Every missed call was a war inside their spirit. They lost everything but your memory. Their silence was sacred confusion, not cruelty. You didn't misread it. The connection never died. They didn't speak because your eyes made them confess without words. Every minute they waited made them more human. Their soul was screaming louder than their voice. They almost said it last night, then cried themselves out. You were the only one who saw them, and that terrified them. They walked away with words they now regret swallowing. You weren't too much. They were too guarded. They spoke to heaven before they dared speak to you. You've been feeling them because they've been praying about you. The love was real. They just weren't ready to admit it. Your silence after theirs taught them the value of presence. Their return will sound like grief learning to sing. What they say will break something open in you. You are still the song their spirit hums alone. That silence birthed a new devotion. They didn't ghost you, they ghosted their own truth. They still talk to your absence, like it's sacred. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more.